Hey now, Judy Moulton, Grateful Mindset Properties Realty Radio Show host. Thank you folks for listening each week. I'm grateful today for my audience, grateful to bring a tad of real estate news, art, science, human interest, special guests from the local area and beyond. Each week, Saturday mornings at 9 a.m., we are featured on 107.7 FM, 1450 a.m. on WKHP, where the heavens kiss the peaks. Also on GratefulMindsetProperties.com, you can go back and catch a listen, check out our podcasts on Apple, on Spotify, or even on the front page of our website. Again, GratefulMindsetProperties.com. Judy Moulton, your Realty Radio Show host. So thank you so much for listening, and I hope you stick around. Today I have really special guests. You know, I love to bring people in from the local community. It's always a blessing, and I'm so grateful for that. So stick around for my local In the Spotlight News this week guests I have from the county. Very special guest from the county assessor's office, Henderson County Tax Administrator Harry Rising, and Mike Morgan, our county's Chief Communications Officer. So they will be with us in just a few moments after I share some local and national real estate news. So just a couple of things. I'm sure everybody is waiting for bated breath to hear about interest rates because they just are all over the place, right? So right now, the 30-year is at about 7.38%, more or less, 6.69 on the 15-year. And as you hear me talk each week, it goes up and down. I mean, there's bridge loans, there's home equity loans, there's all kind of programs if you're a first-time home buyer or you need to buy down the rate. You can text me, you can call me at 828-290-0940. I have folks that I can refer you to. I have 3 folks I use all the time. I always say that believe in the power of 3. And so I say, hey, check out your local credit union, the local bank that you utilize, and then a local loan officer. And I have 3 folks that I work with and I love to refer to. So anytime you want to know more about that, just reach out for any reason or no reason. So right now on the MLS, what is happening? Not a lot. I mean, I will tell you, we are in a low inventory market. I'm sure you read it. If you go on Realtor.com, you go on Zillow, Trulio, Movado, any of those search engines or local real estate news besides me every week, Saturday mornings at 9 a.m., there is a lot and a little going on. When I say there's a lot going on where people are really looking hard. I've got a lot of buyers that are really trying to find something. All my listings, thankfully, they sold very quickly. So I'm also looking for sellers. So please let me, reach out. New listing-wise, we only have about 28 right now here in Western North Carolina. Price increases, yes, we do have them. Just yesterday, I know there was a few. We have a few more today. Price decreases are about the same. It's really interesting. We have about 28 new listings and about 28 price decreases and about 10 more or less back on the market. It's interesting to me to always see these new increases and these decreases. Talk about this. It bears repeating every week. So things that sell really quickly. Top 3 reasons. Location, right? Where it's located based on things that it has access to, your art, your science, your hospitals, places to shop, things like that. Those sell very quickly, especially if they're move-in ready. They're not quick flips. Permits have been pulled. Any updates have been done by licensed contractors, sell very quickly. Price decrease, quick flip, sits on the market, permits not pulled, they still need work, they're overpriced, things of that nature. Back on the market, about 34%. About 34% of items or properties that go on the market come back on the market. Something happens, a move, a crisis in someone's family, something changes in their financial situation, and, things can happen that, cause them to change their minds because for any reason or no reason, right? So caveat emptor, it is in North Carolina, it is a buyer beware state. So what happens is maybe they change their mind because during due diligence they had a bad hair day, or they find in their inspection report they do not want to deal with the things that are happening. So any of those reasons can cause things to change. So some of those listings that are highlighted today, let's take a look. Let's see what we got. Mountain Shadow Lane here in Hendersonville, a 3-2, built in 2004. It's over 2,000 square feet for $399,000. That's actually $399,000. That's actually a really good price. It needs a little bit of work, but that is something that may be worth taking a look at. Also in Hendersonville, in the Old Oak subdivision, new construction, 2023, listed at $465,000. What else? We've got in Rutherfordton for $315. And Rutherfordton is about 45 minutes outside of Hendersonville, and it's still an affordable area. It's a good place to look. Any reason or no reason, please reach out. We've got land that's coming. We've got something coming up in Spindale for only $95,000. There's a lot going on. So 828-290-0940. So I'd like to bring my guests on before I get back into real estate news and talk more about art, science, and some fun facts. So, as I mentioned a few moments ago, maybe you heard, or maybe you're just joining me, Judy Moulton, Grateful Mindset Properties, some quick facts about Grateful Mindset. So we were founded in 2020, and we serve Western North Carolina and beyond with a grateful mindset. We are local real estate experts. We excel at listing as well, at listing properties, helping folks sell their property as well as buy property. But I've got on today two special guests, not just one, but two. I have Harry Rising, and he works for Henderson County, the Assessors Office, and I also have, I'm not sure if it's his partner in crime or just I'm not really sure how to introduce Mike other than he's the chief communications officer for Henderson County. But I'm going to let them introduce themselves and talk a little bit more about who they are, what they do, and what brings them here today.
Okay, thank you, Judy. Appreciate the opportunity. My name is Harry Rising, as you said. I am the tax administrator for Henderson County. What that means is I'm the combined assessor and collector of tax for the county. In the world of assessing, we have, of course, real property, which is really your field of interest. And then we also have personal property. Certain kinds of personal property are taxed. Things like boats, cars, trailers, things like that. And then what they call, sounds strange, but business personal property. The things that businesses have that are part of their money-making operation, retail, industrial, manufacturing, anything like that. So we go around as assessors, and for real property, every 4 years, we measure all 70,000 parcels of the county, and we do that in a cycle of 4 years. We don't do it all in 1 year. And take some other data points and come up with a assessed value of all real property. And then annually, people with personal property or business personal property are required to file with, or list is the term, with the county what they have. Now, cars run a little differently. Of course, DMV is involved with that in the Department of Revenue at the state.
Can you imagine if you had cars too?
Well, we up to 2013 we did.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yes,
okay.
And then it was consolidated because there was a lot of confusion and a lot of failure to pay because, well, you'd get a registration notice from the state, then you'd get a tax bill from the county, and, what's what, and people would pay one and not the other, and so they consolidated it.
Okay.
Yeah. We provide them the rates for our area, and they apply it per the address of the vehicle.
Gotcha. So I'm imagining, Harry, it takes a while to assess 70,000 parcels. You must have a lot of staff that work for you, the little worker bees that are running around with their I imagine, clipboards and a pencil and, just trying to get the data points.
Well, we haven't thrown the clipboards and pencils away, but we do have some assistance.
I bet.
The county is covered by aerial photography.
Okay.
And when we do that, it's done in multiple angles. Every property has been photographed, and it's a very useful tool. The current technology not only takes the pass over the county in photographs, but then digitally overlays the next series of pictures over time and records changes. For example, new buildings added or torn down, conditions. We can see roof damage or something an aircraft could see, and that becomes part of the appraisal process. It cues us to look at this property, there's a new shed or there's building is gone or something like that, and that helps us in the process. And we have other tools as well. It's called computer-assisted mass appraisal. It's a series of algorithms that measure everything from age to type of construction, quality of construction. We use the building permit system to manage what's been done, at least that have been permitted to do so. Yeah, there's a lot of things we don't know about buildings. We can't look inside them. Maybe at final inspection prior to handover we can do that, but typically over time we're really dependent on taxpayers to coordinate with us to know A good example might be a finished or unfinished basement.
Gotcha. Okay. So like if a permit wasn't pulled, let's say, on anything work that was done, so that's where that sort of that communication or that feedback loop is really important, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and typically that crops up in the appeal process. And there is you can appeal the assessment. You cannot appeal the tax. That's the law, the way it's written. But you can appeal the valuation that led to the tax.
Can you explain the difference or how that, sort of give some examples of how that may play out
for
someone listening on the radio?
Yeah, we establish a value for property, whatever it is, real estate or something else. And a valuation for the entire county is established. Now, for Henderson County, the total, if you add everything together, is about $19 billion. That's with a B, dollars, for the county. Meanwhile, in a separate process, the commissioners and the county management develop a budget. And this includes the schools, it includes Blue Ridge Community College, capital projects, and the ongoing operating costs of the government. And they establish that budget. And it's a pretty straightforward math problem of saying, okay, here's how much money we need to run the services of the county, here's how much valuation we have, you divide it out, and that becomes the tax rate.
Gotcha.
And that's approved by the county commissioners. And once that rate's established, it's basically a math problem. You say, okay, you have a property worth so much, you multiply it by the tax rate, it's per 100, so you divide 100 out of it, and then that's what you pay. Now, there is a layering. Municipalities have their rates that are added. There's only one assessor, that's the county assessor. I tell the county, or the municipality, excuse me, okay, here's what we've assessed for your values. And the other things, the boats and the cars, and they're in that, are included. And also there's fire districts. The fire district, the fire chiefs establish their budgets in a similar fashion and establish their own tax rate. So when you get your bill, you wind up seeing
sort of a breakdown of these items.
There'll be a county rate, and for your home, if it's not inside a municipality, you'll probably see a fire district rate. Right now, the county rate is 0.431, which is lower than any of the counties around us. Buncombe, Rutherford, Polk, Transylvania. We beat them all. We want to keep it low. And we follow the spirit of the law in that the rate is revenue neutral. That means we only draw as much tax money as required to meet the requirements of the budget, nothing extra.
So not quick, but I'm sure COVID played a role in all this, because market trends, market value. I mean, we saw, rates. It was interesting. I just talked last week. I talked on the radio about how during the COVID time period, when homes were valued very high or sold at a much higher rate. I'll give an example that the highest above list that I saw in the Asheville metro area was 160,000 over list.
Wow.
It was ridiculous. We would see on average 40, 60, 80,000 above list. Now that's changed. So things have calmed down. Thankfully, and I'm happy about that actually, because I want things to be more of a leveling off and fair to both sides.
Sure.
So one of the things that was interesting, though, is that square footage was at about in Henderson County. We were measuring at $600 per square foot. Now we're at about $300 in 2023. 2019, we were at $200 per square foot. That's what we were saying the value was. So, we're obviously half that from the COVID period. But I'm sure that market trends must have played a role when you guys were doing the reappraisals, yes?
Absolutely. But understand, we establish an assessment date. Actually, the law does that.
Gotcha.
It's what the market valuation is as of, in this case, the 1st of January 2023. What happened in 2021 and 22? Well, we certainly look at the sales, because that is the requirement of the law. Is we value at the market. And again, the word is value. We don't price. People say, well, I sold this home for so much, but you say it's worth so much else. I understand that. The problem is we have to look at what I call the wisdom of the market.
Right.
It's the cumulative values. If example I give, let's say 4 homes were built roughly the same time at 350 thou, and then 2 years down the line somebody really gets a great sale off and does it for 375, and then a little later somebody gets 390, and then we come to the evaluation point. Well, you still have 4 identical homes, but now 2 of them were at the original 350, one's at 375, and one's at 390. As an assessor, I have to look at it as an evaluation. It's not necessarily an average. It's against the trend of the market. So it's a very complex algorithm, and it's very difficult to the individual who says, right, well, my home was only worth 350. Now you're telling me I don't know what that would be in that case, but say 365 or something.
Right.
Why are you telling me it's 15,000 more than what I bought it for 2 years ago? Well, that's because it's looked at in the context of a larger market. And that's the challenge of my office, not only to do that, but also to educate the taxpayer. That's the mission I've got right now, and it's complex. It's certainly to the individual can be very confusing, and we're working on a series of videos. I'm trying to make the website more interactive friendly. We're looking at every outreach we can think of so people can find out, and we're always welcoming guests to come in and why is it this way? Ask the questions. Do the details on their property. Happy to do it. That's what the staff is there for.
Right. So if somebody calls and says, hey, I paid X and now it's saying my tax is Y, you're going to have a conversation with them and explain it. And,
That's right.
And if they say, well, I don't think it's worth that, or I didn't update this or whatever, there may be some room to sort of work that out.
It may be. There's an appeal process,
Okay.
and it's done annually, and it's done in an annual cycle. And for real property, it starts on the 1st of January, and typically ends in mid-May. There's a calendar thing about what Monday of the month it is, type of thing. But during that window, you can file an appeal, and at that point, there's an informal. They're always looked at by internally. That's what it is down to. And we may say, hey, let's sit down and talk about this, or they may present evidence. Hey, this happened in an appeal. The permit was for 2 bathrooms, but we only built 1.
Okay.
And that adjusted the price, and we get that. Okay.
Gotcha.
Or you assigned this as a finished basement, but here's a picture. It's just a frame, or whatever. And yes, we'll make those adjustments. Of course, we'll do it. We'll do it gladly. Equally so, some people, they come in, with an opinion, and I get it, but there's 120,000 people in the county, and there's 120,000 opinions, and we have to establish by the process chartered by law,
right,
to say, okay, this is how we're going to do it, and to be honest, the law favors the county's process. We have to do it by a certain way, and people are certified to do that.
Right.
So if you come in with an opinion, you have to back it up with fact. And fact is, like I said, a change of the circumstance, or perhaps a genuine comparable sale, hopefully more than one, because we'll probably, in most cases, have at least 4 or 5, maybe more. Occasionally, it's impossible to find a true equal 1-to-1 comparable, and then we have to use some kind of logarithmic offset.
Gotcha.
An algorithm is what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
That's a lot. No, and that's really helpful. And I cannot say enough about Henderson County. I mean, I work with all the counties, and my favorite is Henderson in terms of staff, in terms of people that I can just pick up the phone and call and say I have a question, and somebody will get back to me that day. Whether by email or phone call, and they're willing to have a conversation. And I've lived in many different cities and states, and I cannot say the level of service that I experience with Henderson County. Very grateful. Very grateful.
Well, thank you for saying that. We emphasize the customer service element of our job. Our appraisers go out. They'll talk to you. They'll answer your questions, and they'll do what they can. They can't give you a break. I mean, that's not their job. Their job is strictly gather information.
Got you.
Okay.
Got you. So, Mike, tell me a little bit more about you and what you
Yeah.
do and how you guys work together. Or
Well, I'm a recovering former sportscaster and from television and radio for over 30 years, and then 15 years in the banking world. So I was doing mortgages previous to coming to work for the county back in January. So it was kind of nice because as soon as I slid into that position with the county, they're going through all the reappraisal stuff. So I definitely understood that. And Darlene Burgess, who was our former tax administrator who retired, now here he is taking her place. We were basically joined at the hip for the first few months I was there, which was great because I understood the process. And of course, we were trying to let people know, hey, we're going through every 4 years. We go through the reval process, for the county. And I just use myself as a great example. My property, I live here in Hendersonville, or Henderson County. It was $250,000 was my reappraisal value back 4 years ago, or the last cycle. It went up to 380. So I'm in that world where I saw my property go up 50, 60%. But I understand that.
Right.
I looked at Zillow a little while ago. Zillow is 463 for my house. So
remember, Zillow's an algorithm.
I understand that, but I could easily sell my house for easily what it's worth.
Right.
So I went through that, and then the whole process, like you said, it was such a great job that our county commissioners did of lowering the tax rate from 56 down to 43 to help us out.
Yeah.
So my taxes did not go up by 50%. My taxes went up about 16, 17%, which that's understandable. And it's like
Based
$200 a month extra,
Yeah.
or $200 more a year that I'm going to have to pay in taxes.
Yeah.
And then kudos to our county commissioners for doing that, realizing
Fabulous job.
Yeah,
Fabulous
because
job.
again, we didn't want to burden them with that, And like I said, it's just that, and our biggest thing, Harry's mentioned it before. We want to create a website. We want to make sure we have information where it's very user friendly. And during the reappraisal process, and I think it's actually still on their reappraisal website, is all the videos that we produce, trying to let people know, hey, this is coming. The tax rate's not going to go up. It's not going to. It's going to come down. We tried to make sure they knew all of that, and that is the challenge in our world, is communicating all of that to the residents of Henderson County. We want to make sure everybody understands that.
Yeah.
Because again, if you've been listening or paying attention or hearing on the news, you probably realize, wow, my house, which was worth $200,000 4 years ago, or even a year ago, is now worth, maybe twice as much as that. It's happened all over, and so we really tried our best to make sure they understood that, to try and, stop everybody from getting too crazy. And the appeal process, making sure how they understand that. And Harry's been real active trying to get he and I together to redo some stuff to get as much information out there as we can to the residents of Henderson County.
Yeah, you've done a fabulous job. I mean, and it's so funny because I remember I'm a lead on Nextdoor, and that was, I'm sure, are you guys familiar with Nextdoor?
Oh, yes.
Okay. That was the craziest place where I saw information about what's going on in the county, and people all up in arms, and oh my God, it's 100% higher, it's 60%, And I'm so glad that we were talking before we started on the radio, just how I believe things have calmed down quite a bit. And so I'm very grateful for that, and I'm sure you guys are as well. But I've learned, I was in behavioral health for 30 plus years, and as a former clinician, and it's interesting until people see it, the visual cortex, see it in like black and white in writing. Like you could talk them video, you could do all the stuff that you were talking about, right? Until they, oh my God, they have that piece of paper. It's like, it's not real. And so I could see why you've done, all these wonderful, forms of communication to get the point across, but until that piece of paper happens, and then they now call you, and then they have questions, and then they want more. So I'm glad that it was up, and then now it went down, and I'm guessing, have things calmed down? Yes, a bit. Are you still getting sort of appeals, or how are we doing?
Well, the appeal process is, again, it's only
a process.
It ended back in May, so when we send the reevaluations out, say, hey, your property's reappraised at this amount, and there's a form in there that says you can fill this form out for the informal appeal, stuff like that. So you had a period of time. We really tried like crazy to let people know it's a deadline. It's going to stop here, and when you get your tax bill, I'm sorry, you can't appeal at that point in time.
Yeah.
So we've dealt with some of that, but I think for the most part, a lot of folks kind of saw it coming. I think a lot of people kind of understood it. There are some that still maybe are a little upset, don't quite understand the process. But again, we're trying to get as much information.
And they can call you. They can go on your website.
Yeah.
Who do they call? What's the web? Maybe just let the public know that might be listening. Where should they go if they want to have a conversation?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the phone number.
Okay.
828-697-4870. I just want to clarify on appeal.
Please.
We have been talking about real estate.
Mhm.
It's a different cycle for personal and business personal property.
Okay.
It's basically, the general rule of thumb is either basically 30 days after you've been made aware of your taxation. You send a listing, and you have 30 days after, or when you get the
Appeal,
bill,
okay.
you have 30 days, but you appeal the value, not the rate.
Okay, and that's with personal. So
Yeah,
with,
and that's a different cycle. And also,
Gotcha.
there's other appeal things for tax relief and things like that that's completely separate. I just want to make that clear for listeners who don't, okay, well, I've got this boat, and wait a minute, I just got the bill now, but I didn't know that. Now it's, from May. No, that's not how it works.
Well, on our website, hendersoncounty.nc.gov. So
Uh-huh.
hendersoncounty.nc.gov, and right there, Lou, on the very home page, right at the very front, will be a 2023 reappraisal. It's still there. You can click on that. And again, that takes you to some of the older videos we did more back towards the beginning of the process. And Harry and I are working to try and put more informational videos on there, just
Good.
to make sure people can see that, understand that. Because, like I said, it's been a while since we've had a big increase like this in property value,
Gotcha.
especially with the reappraisal process. So again, we understand a lot of sticker shock to a lot of people, But again, if you've been paying attention and you've seen what's going on in the world, values have gone up, and so we just are, but again, kudos to our board for lowering the tax rate and
Yes.
And doing that to help out as much as we can. So we're trying to help.
yeah, no, that's wonderful. Harry, were you going to say something?
Well, I wanted to just clarify something Mike said. He talked about his home and how much it went up. Within those 70,000 parcels, we've identified a little over 1,000 market sites. In other words, for example, a development that everything is essentially the same, or something like that. And as you know from your career, that different markets have different appeals over time, and not everybody goes up at the same rate. Some properties become much more desirable. Others, people want a more urban setting, a more rural setting, and all that affects. So what his example, well, mine went up about 60 or so %. That didn't happen to everybody at the same rate. Some went higher and some went lower. And again, it's market driven. I want people to know it wasn't random. That there's a valuation that's very, again, complex. It's done against the entirety of the market, against a lot of specifications. So, I know some people said, well, you said it'd only go up so much, but it went much more for me. Why is that? Well, generally the reason would be, well, you have a much more desirable home in this market. So I just want to make that clarification. Because
No, that's wonderful. Thank you.
I think our average was about 52% was sort of the average across the board, for property increases. And again, some went up, some went down, some stayed the same. It was really kind of a mixture all the way across the board. But that was kind of on average. And I just use my example because I was in the average bucket. I'm an average guy. Hey, I'm an average Joe.
It's a great example. It's very helpful.
Yeah.
Anything you'd like to end with for today? Anything you'd like to let the public know?
We're available for questions. We're here to serve the taxpayers, all people of Henderson County. If you just don't understand, come in. We'll help you. I have limits of what I can do by statute about changing your tax. I just can't make a decision like that. That being said, I can help you with process. I can give you advice on how to appeal. If you have a payment problem, we can work out something. Okay, you still have to pay it, but some people think, I got a bill, I got to write a check 1-to-1. Well, maybe we can work something over a little time anyway. Most taxes have to be paid by the 6th of January. So, you can pay us so much in October and November and December and so on.
Appreciate
call us. And the best thing to do is just call us. And you'll always be treated with respect and professionally.
Thank you. Mike, anything to add?
No, I tell you, Harry's doing a great job. We're glad to have him on board with us, and we take pride in the people we have at the county. We got a lot of good folks there, and we are literally here to help. So we're a phone call or a visit away. So just reach out. Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate you both being here. Judy Moulton, Grateful Mindset Properties Realty Radio host, coming to you live Saturday mornings, 9 a.m. on 107.7 AM 1450, or if you miss it, be sure to check us out at gratefulmindsetproperties.com and all those other social media places. Thank you.